Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user BraveExplanation2530. Am I the a-hole for disowning my wife's daughter after she chose her mom's affair partner over me? I, 35 male, met my now soon-to-be ex-wife, 33 female, during university 12 years ago. She already had a kid when she was 19, but the dad left as soon as she started university. We were dating for 3 months before I met her daughter, Lisa. I remember seeing her family for the first time. I was nervous about meeting her parents, but when I saw a little girl beside her mom, I was confused. I asked her if that was her little sister or a cousin of hers, and her answer shocked me. When she told me that that's her daughter, I thought I misheard her or something. At first, I wanted to dump her for hiding something so crucial from me, but she kept on begging me to stay, and eventually, I relented. Soon enough, I started to fall in love with her daughter and wanted to be her father figure. Our bond grew stronger over the years, and in early 2019, before the pandemic hit, we got married. In late 2021, I adopted Lisa, and in early 2022, my wife gave birth to our son, Mark. After my son was born, my wife made the choice to stay at home for the time being, and I was completely fine with that. Everything was going perfectly until a few months ago. I started noticing my wife increasingly spending time with her friends. At the time, I didn't say anything since, in my mind, being at home all day probably meant eating at her, and I didn't want to seem controlling. The thing that made me suspicious was her constant texting and going out of the room for calls. She never did that for anyone besides this one friend of hers. I asked her about it, but she gave me vague answers about gossip. The moment that she took it too far though was when I came home last week and saw her outside talking on the phone. This wasn't out of the ordinary. I remember seeing my son on the floor crying alone. I was pissed at my wife for just leaving him alone in the house, but when I went to pick him up and smelled the horrible stench coming from him, I was beyond furious. His diaper seemed like it hadn't been changed since that morning. I quickly changed his diaper and rushed outside with him in my arms. I was beyond pissed. I snatched her from her hand and bolted back inside. I locked my wife outside to have a talk with this friend of hers alone. I had my suspicions about who it really was, and when I heard a male voice calling out her name and asking who was there, I immediately knew what was going on. He ended the call as soon as he heard my voice. I then proceeded to lock the front door to make sure my wife couldn't enter the house at all. Then I screenshot as much of their chat as I could and then sent it to myself before deleting them from her phone. About 5 minutes later, she was still banging on the glass door leading to the backyard. I reluctantly opened it and was met with a smack in the face. Remember, all of this is happening while I'm holding my toddler in my arms. As soon as she realized what she did, she apologized profusely and started crying and trying to hug me. I pushed her away and told her to meet me at the dining table. I told my daughter to quickly take care of the baby so me and her mom could have a quick chat. I just kept it simple. I told her this was her only chance to even have a sliver of a chance of getting me back. If she effed up this talk, it was over on the spot. No lies, nothing. She kept on trying to apologize and say it wasn't that serious. I reminded her that she not only effed me over, but she could have easily done serious harm to our son by leaving him alone in the house like that. I then simply asked who, for how long, and did they F? She replied with her ex-boss, Daniel, 6 months, and she didn't answer the last one. So I kept on reminding her that this was her last chance. She then just simply nodded. I then asked her if they used protection. To this, she started crying and started begging me for forgiveness. She said she would block him then and there and would never contact him again. I could F any woman I wanted to from now on, yada yada. I guess Lisa heard the commotion and came downstairs. I told her to go back up, but she just walked up to my wife and asked her if I knew about Daniel. At this point, I was calm, but upon hearing this, I swear even I started tearing up. I asked Lisa if she knew all along, and she said yes. At this point, I'm full on crying, and I asked her why she didn't tell me. She responded with, Because unlike you, Daniel buys me things I want without having to beg. I then asked her how she could possibly do this to her dad, and she responded with the "you're not my real dad" crap. My wife screamed at her upon hearing what she said. At that point, I couldn't bear any of this anymore. I just grabbed my son and got into the car. Me and my son are currently staying at my parents' house. I've basically been drinking myself to sleep every day. Thanks to the saint of a mother I have, my son is being taken care of right now. I'm beyond hurt. I've cancelled my ex-daughter's private school tuition and all her extracurricular activities, and I've contacted a divorce lawyer. He's going to serve my wife this Friday. My wife and Lisa have been blowing up my phone non-stop with apologies. I simply responded with, "Get a lawyer and tell that ungrateful thing of yours to start calling Daniel her dad. I'm disowning her." And then I blocked my wife. I didn't respond to Lisa, I just simply blocked her. I guess my wife told our friends what she and Lisa did, and now they have been texting me non-stop. They understand how I feel, but believe I'm going too far by divorcing my wife without hearing her out. They also kept telling me that disowning Lisa is definitely going too far, and she's only a kid and didn't understand what she was doing. I just can't get over the things she told me. I've worked my ass off to give my wife and daughter luxuries I could have only dreamed of as a kid, and this is how I get paid back? Lisa, 13 years old, is old enough to understand that hiding her mom's affair is bad, and she definitely purposely used those words to hurt me. But a part of me believes that there is still hope. A few family counseling sessions later, we can go back to living the life I once considered a fairy tale. I'm beyond destroyed by this whole situation. A part of me just wants to see them burn in hell, but the other part of me believes there is still hope. Am I really going too far? Is there still hope? Am I the a-hole for disowning my daughter and divorcing my wife? Well, P, in my opinion, no, you are absolutely not the a-hole, and divorcing your wife is the right thing to do. She cheated on you, she neglected your son, and she's magged you. No way. 3 strikes, she's out. Now, regarding your son, I'm sure you don't want to hear this, but maybe you'd want to get a DNA test just in case. Your wife says the affair has only been 6 months old, but she's a cheater, which means she's a liar. And regarding your daughter, I agree with you. 13 years old is old enough to know that what her mom was doing was wrong and that the words that she said to you were intentionally hurtful. However, before you decide to drop out of her life, I would sit down to have a conversation with her. I'd like to ask her, why did she hide her mom's affair? Why did she intentionally hurt you? And if she understands what's going to happen from now on. And finally, you might want to reconsider staying friends with the people that are telling you to stay with your wife, because no. And what is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Careless Welder 4048 says, not the a-hole, but you need to stop drinking. It's game time and you need to be at your best. I'm sorry about your daughter's behavior. Honestly, F the friends who want you to listen to your cheater wife. I would have one more conversation with Lisa and tell her why you are leaving her and how her actions hurt you. Initial by 7386 says, not the a-hole. I 100% get the hurt and feeling of betrayal. Your stepdaughter might only be 13, but was mature enough to hit you where it would hurt you the most when you were already down. I would stick with a divorce. Cheating is a deal breaker for me. You may be able to salvage the relationship with your daughter, but it's going to take real remorse on her part, or you'll always wonder if she's only apologized to get back in your financial good books. And OP responds, thank you. If I reconcile with her, I'm definitely not giving back the life she once had. She has to work for that. Big Pear says, you have done no fault. Your wife is the one at fault here, and a divorce is reasonable. Your daughter seems to act a bit odd to me. I feel like your wife might have trash-talked you to her behind your back. The hard thing is that she is in her teenage years, which will build resentment towards the parents, and if she can't be taught what is wrong and right, you probably won't hear from her until she realizes it during her 20s. But you don't have to sway anymore unless you want to push for custody. All you can do is to stay the kid's father and say you're there to talk to her when she wants, and hopefully she will realize it and gravitate towards you. And OP responds, thank you, I hope this happens. As for my wife trash-talking me, definitely possible. And Kurosaki One Piece says, bruh, she left a toddler in the house alone in a soiled diaper for who knows how long so she can talk to her affair partner. F her, LMAO. Additional information from OP's comments. Lisa didn't show any remorse. She seemed more annoyed at my wife when I found out. She isn't 9 years old. She fully understood what she said. I want to be in her life. I love her to death, but I can't excuse whatever BS she told me. She needs to learn that this isn't how you talk to your father. I see her as my daughter. I've spent 12 years as her father and will continue to do so if I see her showing regret for the things she said. I gave her everything I had. I called her my own for 12 years. I understand she's a kid, but couldn't she tell whatever she was doing was wrong? She watched me go to work every single effing day, knowing damn well that during that time, some mother effer was smashing her mom in our bed. Even if she was biologically mine, she needs to see consequences. For starters, I'm done paying $40,000 a year for her private school. As for my son not being mine, thank you for your concern, but I know my son is mine. He is literally a mini-me. My parents are looking after him. I don't neglect my kids unlike my wife. I'd rather my parents take care of him than my wife, who made him sit in his own crap for hours so that she could talk to her daddy, as she calls him over WhatsApp. Also, for those of you trash-talking single moms, my mom used to be a single mother. Go F yourself. So the community agrees that OP was not the a-hole, and they do have some theories regarding the daughter and why she acted the way she did. And of course the consensus is that OP must divorce his wife. Now of course we've got the update, so let's move on with that to see how the story ends. First off, I just want to thank you guys for the support you have shown me. This past week has been the hardest period of my life. Seeing the love you shared with the woman you considered your partner for life just vanish hit me worse than anything else. I just want to update you on the things that have happened since I posted. First of all, I'm happy to report that I've quit drinking. It was tough, but seeing how my life was basically falling apart due to my constant drinking really was a wake-up call for me. I asked my mom to throw out all the alcohol in her house. The first couple of days were tough, but I'm doing much better now. I know it was only for a week, but still, you guys definitely slapped some sense into me. As for my wife, I've had a brief conversation with her and I have halted all divorce proceedings for now. There is still a lot to navigate and a ton of logistics involved, and my decision to divorce seemed to be in the heat of the moment. I'm not saying that I'm going back to her, I'm just saying I need to reevaluate everything again. What she did was beyond hurtful and irresponsible. If I were to get back with her, she would have had to do a lot to make up for this mess. I have removed half of the money in our joint account and have stopped paying the lease on my wife's car. I just need a bit more time to understand the financial and parental aspects of divorce, as well as the big picture. I understand that divorce isn't like dumping your girlfriend. There are custody battles, alimony, who gets what, etc. It's a long legal process. I need to assess all options before I springboard into divorce. Divorce is not off the table. I'm not making things work with her. I'm not planning on getting back together with her. I'm just being cordial with her for the purpose of co-parenting. Anyway, I asked my wife a few questions. Has she been in contact with Daniel since our fallout? She said she had completely cut off contact with her ex-boss and is willing to do anything to make our marriage work. Why did she go to him or meet him in the first place? She said she honestly doesn't know. She met him at a get-together her old company held, and in her words, they just clicked. They started hanging out as friends, and soon things grew out of hand and she started bringing him over to the house when I was at work. Did she have feelings for him while they worked together? She said she found him cute but left it at that. They never did anything or said anything outside of work. I then started asking her questions about our daughter, Lisa. Some of you guys rightly pointed out that she probably poisoned her against me. Why did she bring Daniel around our daughter? Lisa once caught them making out on the couch, and when she threatened them to tell me, they quickly shut her up with gifts, a new phone, etc. Soon enough, Lisa started to like having Daniel around because of the gifts, etc. Did she badmouth me to Lisa? To this, she just went silent and started crying. I then pressed a bit more and she finally blurted out that she started telling Lisa that Daniel was her bio dad. Not gonna lie, after this, I started crying and I just hung up. I did see a change in my daughter around the same time, but I just chalked it up to her being a teenager. Hearing this just broke my heart even more. Even though I know this is a lie, I met the bio dad years ago at university. I also want to thank you guys for telling me that it wasn't right to put all the blame on my 13-year-old daughter. I wasn't thinking straight at the time, and when I started sobering up, I realized the mistake I made. I have unblocked my daughter and have been texting with her since yesterday. She has apologized to me, and it seems like my wife, who is in desperation to get me back, has confessed the truth to my daughter. She told me that she stopped talking with her mother since she confessed. I understand the hurt I might have caused her. Literally, 2/3 of my family got ripped away from me in one evening. I wasn't thinking clearly, and neither was my daughter. We both know that now. I apologized to her for my comments about disowning her, and we have planned to meet tomorrow at the local park. I, again, just want to sincerely thank you guys for the support and the advice. Honestly, I couldn't have navigated this mess alone while being intoxicated. Only God knows what would have happened if I didn't reach out. I also want to apologize for the drunken rant I went on in the comments. I'm beyond embarrassed at the things I said. Again, thank you all for the support. Smiley face. OP's edit. I forgot to mention the DNA test thing on my son. I do definitely acknowledge it being a possibility, but neither am I mentally in a place to be able to cope with the stress of something like that, nor am I ready to face the reality that I might look at him differently if the test turns out negative. I'll do it eventually, but not now during this mess. Well, OP, I gotta say, for a moment there you scared me that you were backing away from the divorce, but I understand your headspace right now. The good thing is that you are still going to follow through because, yeah, your wife absolutely sucks. And apparently your daughter has seen that too, although that relationship also needs to be built in time. So on that note, here's wishing you the best in the divorce. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Massive Discount 845. Church wants to sue me for a review? I'm from Germany. We are a very litigious society, so much so that businesses can sue individuals for writing bad reviews. In fact, per German law, it's up to the individual to provide evidence that what they wrote actually happened, or else the individual can be forced to take down the review and pay legal costs to the business. I'm a tradesman who did some renovation work for a church in a small town. The church did not pay me. I took 50% up front, but the church cheated me out of the second half after I had completed the job. The church only had one other review. I wrote a review stating that I had been cheated by the church. I promptly got a legal letter from the church demanding that I take it down unless I wanted to be brought to court. The church could easily argue that they paid me in cash and I would be out of luck according to German law. Okay. I complied with their demand, I took down the review and posted a new one stating that I'm a tradesman and the church threatened to sue me for writing a simple review. I also attached the legal letter from the church as an image in the review. Fast forward a few months. I received an angry call from the clergyman. He said my review had caused several tradesmen to either ghost him or ask him for complete payment up front. He claimed that I had cost them thousands and that I would burn in hell for hindering God's work. I then asked him, "What is your religion's founder's view on honesty, compassion, and forgiveness?" Cue a moment of radio silence, followed by him hanging up the phone. No legal letter yet. Anyhow, I can now substantiate my review. OP, I have to say, this was a chef's kiss. So well played by you, with the image and everything to substantiate your review. Well done. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.